David's story is one of the most well-known in the Bible. We all know him as the young shepherd who took down Goliath, the man after God's own heart, and the king who united Israel. But there's another side to David's life, a darker side that might shock you. While David's life is full of victories and moments of great faith, it's also marked by some serious mistakes, moments of weakness and painful consequences. Even the man who was called a man after God's heart made some huge missteps. David started off as this humble shepherd, chosen by God to be king. He was a hero after defeating Goliath and was loved by the people of Israel. But that didn't sit well with King Saul, who was jealous and began trying to kill David. For years, David was on the run, hiding from Saul and constantly living in fear for his life. But David's real struggles began once he became king. At first, he was a great leader. He had faith in God, led Israel to victory, and expanded the kingdom. He seemed like a man who had it all together. But, as we'll see, even the best of us can fall. One of the darkest moments in David's life came when he stayed home from battle while his army went off to war. It was during this time that David saw Bathsheba, the wife of Uriah, bathing on a rooftop. And what happened next is a story of lust, sin, and deception. David sent for Bathsheba, and when she came to him, they slept together. Bathsheba soon found out she was pregnant. David's first instinct was to cover it up. He called Uriah back from the front lines, hoping that he would sleep with his wife and think the child was his. But Uriah, being a loyal soldier, refused to enjoy the comforts of home while his fellow men were still fighting. So, in a desperate attempt to cover up his sin, David made a terrible choice. He ordered Uriah to be put in the most dangerous part of the battle, where he was killed. David thought he had gotten away with it. But then, God sent the prophet Nathan to confront him. Nathan told David a story about a rich man who took a poor man's only lamb, and David was furious, demanding that the man should be punished. Nathan then revealed that David was the man in the story. He had taken Uriah's wife, and his actions had caused great harm. David was crushed. He realized the weight of his sin, and he repented. He admitted he had done wrong and asked for forgiveness. While God forgave him, there were still consequences. The child born from his affair with Bathsheba died, and David's family would suffer the consequences of his choices for years to come. David's sin with Bathsheba is one of the most tragic stories in the Bible. It's a reminder that even those who are closest to God can fall into sin. But it's also a powerful example of repentance and forgiveness. David's heart remained humble, and he sought God's mercy. But David's struggles didn't end there. Later on, he made another mistake that caused great harm. He took a census of Israel, essentially counting the people in his kingdom. While this may seem harmless, it was actually a sign of pride. It was a way of measuring his own strength and relying on numbers instead of on God. God was displeased with this act of pride, and as a result, a plague struck Israel. 70,000 people died. David's pride led to unnecessary suffering, and once again, he humbled himself before God, offering a sacrifice in repentance. But even in the midst of his failures, David never stopped turning to God. When the plague hit, he cried out to God for mercy, and God, in his kindness, stopped the destruction. David's life is a story of ups and downs, victories, mistakes, repentance, and redemption. He wasn't perfect, not by a long shot, but even in his darkest moments, he sought God's forgiveness. And despite all his flaws, God used him in incredible ways. Through David's line came the Messiah, Jesus Christ. David's story reminds us that no one is beyond redemption. We all make mistakes, even big ones. But God's grace is bigger than our failures. If we humble ourselves before God and seek His forgiveness, He will always extend His mercy to us. David wasn't perfect, but he knew the one who was.